When a manipulator tests you, they are not really looking for your answer. They are watching your reaction. Do you explain too much? Do you laugh when you feel uncomfortable? Do you defend yourself before you even understand the accusation? That reaction is the data they use to reclassify you from person to resource. But there is one sentence that acts like a structural diagnostic. It stops the test by forcing them to reveal the hidden frame they were hoping you would accept without noticing. What do you mean by that? But don't say it yet, because if you use your socialized voice, the one that wants to be liked, you just gave them exactly what they were testing for. On the surface, the sentence sounds simple, almost boring, but used correctly, it becomes a verbal wall. It slows the pressure down, it denies emotional leakage, and it flips the scan back onto them. So here is what you need to understand first. The sentence is only as strong as the tone that carries it. And most people get the tone completely wrong, not because they are careless, but because they were never taught the difference between responding and reacting. When someone says something that cuts just a little too deep, the instinct is to move fast. The voice goes up slightly. There is a nervous edge underneath the words. It sounds like a question you are asking because you are already defending yourself. And that version of the sentence is not a tool. It is a confession. It tells the person across from you that the pressure landed, that you felt it, and that you are now trying to manage the discomfort they created on purpose. That is exactly what they were scanning for. The wrong tone leaks status. It signals that you are inside the test, reacting to it, trying to pass it. And the moment you are trying to pass a test you were not supposed to know existed, you have already handed them the result. Think of it this way. A comeback is a request for approval. What you want instead is something closer to a request for information. Calm, flat, almost clinical. Not because you are performing coldness, but because you genuinely want them to explain what they meant. And that posture, that stillness, is what makes the sentence work. The diagnostic tone is not theatrical. It is not aggressive. It is almost boring. It sounds like someone asking for clarification on a document. There is no urgency in it, no apology underneath it. There is dead air before it and dead air after it, and that silence is doing most of the work. Here is the scenario. Someone says, "You're actually pretty smart for someone from your background." If you snap back with a defensive edge, you just gave them the handle they were looking for. They now know you can be pulled into defense. They know you will explain yourself. Now try it differently. Pause, slow breath, flat tone. What do you mean by that? No smile, no apology, no rush to fill the silence. Just the sentence, sitting there waiting. The weight of the hidden frame now belongs to them. They have to explain the implication they were hoping you would absorb quietly. That is the shift. You are no longer inside the test. You are watching it. Now here is the part most people recognize but rarely name out loud. Politeness is a social contract between two honest people. Using it on a manipulator is like handing your house keys to a locksmith who is already checking your windows. It is not rude to lock your door. Think about the last time someone said something that made you uncomfortable and you laughed anyway. Not because it was funny, because laughing felt safer than the alternative. Because calling it out felt like making a scene. You told yourself it probably was not that serious. You did not want to be the person who made things awkward. That laugh was not kindness. It was a signal. It told the person across from you that you will protect the social comfort of the room even when the room is being used against you. The same thing happened to make them understand you. And while you are doing all of that, they are not listening to understand. They are watching what pressure does to your composure. They are learning how fast guilt moves you. They are finding out what story you tell yourself when you need to justify saying no. You are not being nice in those moments. You are being indexed. Before we go further, one thing needs to be said clearly. This sentence is designed for social and professional environments where the pressure is hidden behind a mask of politeness. If you are in a situation where physical safety is at risk, do not look for a diagnostic. Seek an exit. What follows is for the environments where the aggression is social, where the test is running underneath a conversation that looks completely normal. Now, if they get angry when you use the sentence, that does not mean you failed. But do not mistake anger for victory either. The point is not that they got angry. The point is that they could not explain the pressure without exposing the aggression behind it. You did not cause the anger. You revealed it. And here is the nuance that matters most. Staying in the room to prove a point is not the goal. If they escalate, collect what you just learned and create distance. You now know something you did not know before you asked the question. That is enough. You do not need to win the moment. You need to leave it with more information than you arrived with. Now let's run this in the environment where most people fail because they fear for their livelihood. The workplace. Your boss says something vague enough to be deniable. It is specific enough to land. The instinct is to ask what you missed, to apologize for the gap, to start explaining your reasoning. That hands them a map of your insecurity. Instead, you say, I want to make sure I'm following your logic correctly so I don't misinterpret the goal. What did you mean by that? That is professional diligence. It is not confrontation. It places the burden of clarity back on the person who created the ambiguity. And it does it without giving them anything to use. The second is a date or a new acquaintance. They make a comment that lands just a little too sharp. Maybe it is about your past. Maybe it is framed as a compliment that somehow still manages to lower your position. The instinct is to laugh it off or explain yourself. Instead, you pause. Slow blink. Dead air. What do you mean by that? Someone who made an honest comment can clarify it without punishing you for asking. Someone who was running a test cannot explain the frame without showing you the frame. That is the information you needed. The third archetype is the social assassin, the person who stings you, then hides behind, I'm just joking. You say, what do you mean by that? Flat. Calm. Not angry. If they come back with, you know what I mean. Why are you being so difficult? You use the second move. I'm not sure I do. That's why I'm asking for clarity. No escalation. No performance. Just a quieter, second request for them to own what they said. Most people who are genuinely joking will clarify without drama. Most people who are using humor as a delivery system for something sharper will not be able to explain it without the sharpness becoming visible. After the sentence, watch the next 3 seconds. That is where the real information is. Some people pivot, they clarify, they soften, they walk the comment back. That is lower risk. It does not mean the original comment was innocent, but it tells you they are capable of adjusting when the pressure is returned. They can let it go. Some people attack. They mock you for asking. They call you sensitive. They punish you for requesting clarity. This is the most important reaction you can observe, because a person who attacks you for asking what they meant was relying on you not asking. The aggression was always underneath the politeness. You did not create it. You uncovered it. And some people freeze. They stutter. They were not expecting the sentence. They were relying on the social weight of the moment to carry the implication forward without examination. When you ask them to explain it, they have nothing. That stutter is the sound of a hidden frame collapsing under the weight of being named. That is the gray static strategy. You become unindexable. No over-explaining, no emotional leakage, no performance for approval. They are looking for the handle to turn. You stop giving them one. Not by becoming cold or hostile, but by becoming still. By becoming unreadable to people who profit from your predictability. When you over-explain, you give them a map. When you apologize for having a limit, you give them a lever. When you laugh at something that hurt you, you give them permission to do it again. The gray static strategy removes all of that. You become a surface that does not reflect what they are scanning for. And the sentence is the entry point into that posture. One flat, calm, almost boring question that forces the hidden frame into the open. The goal is not to win the conversation. The goal is to corrupt the data collection. If you want to see the specific data points you've already leaked, watch the 7 signs you failed the test next.